Campaign Chronicles today, all eyes on the Supreme Court as Day 2 begins looking at the constitutionality of the individual mandate. Well, a lot of folks have heard that the individual mandate, before it was Obama's attempt to undermine the Constitution and bring our nation on a socialist trajectory, was originally proposed by the Heritage Foundation. That's right, it was a conservative idea. Well, I went back and took a look at when the individual mandate was considered conservative, back to when the Heritage Foundation first proposed it in 1989. Here's the logic that was laid out by them. Quote, there is an implicit contract between households and society based on the notion that health insurance is not like other forms of insurance protection. If a young man wrecks his Porsche and does not have the foresight to obtain insurance, we may commiserate, but society feels no obligation to repair his car. Healthcare is different. If a man is struck down by a heart attack in the street, Americans will care for him whether or not he has insurance. If we find that he has spent his money on other things rather than insurance, we may be angry, but we will not deny him services, even if that means more prudent citizens end up paying the tab. A mandate on individuals recognizes this implicit contract. This is, of course, essentially the same argument made by the Obama administration in pushing for its reform, and Mitt Romney back when he was Massachusetts governor before, namely that we have a hole in our social contract when it comes to health insurance because uncovered individuals do get care whenever they show up in a hospital emergency room. These end up being fiscally irresponsible freeloaders who the rest of us pay for. I spoke to Senator Bob Bennett, former Republican, who co-sponsored no less than 3 Republican bills in the past that featured the individual mandate. 2 in 1993, when Republicans were advocating the idea as an alternative to Hillary Care, and 1 his bipartisan bill with Ron Wyden, which was proposed just a few years ago, which also featured an individual mandate. There was no fuss raised then. In fact, as Bennett told me, nobody was saying it was creeping socialism or unconstitutional at the time. A lot of conservatives were for it. Those are the facts. We can have principled disagreements about whether or not the individual mandate's good policy, and certainly a good debate about whether or not it's constitutional. That is for the Supreme Court to decide. But whitewashing the fact that it was once heralded as a Republican idea, simply because it's politically inconvenient to acknowledge that fact, does get to the heart of the matter. Too often, we see our policy debates hijacked by hyper-partisan interests. Fear-mongering fills the void, and we stop being able to reason together. For Campaign Chronicles, I'm John Avlon today.